I don't know if you know this, but there's only 3 cuts in editing. Don't worry, I'll explain. What is up, guys? Nick Friend here. Thanks for coming back. I'm really happy here. I'm certainly happy to be here. And today I'm talking about editing, specifically how there's only 3 cuts when you're editing video. Seriously, if you think about it, there's only 3 cuts. Allow me to explain. The first kind of cut that I want to talk about is known as a straight cut, or a hard cut, or a smash cut, or it's got a bunch of different names, but basically it's just when one clip ends and another one begins. Very straightforward. Hence, straight cut. The next one is known as a J cut, and that's when one part of your audio stops and the other one begins out of sync of the end of the video clip. So with a J cut, you're actually moving forward in the timeline with your video and your audio is hanging back a little bit. And this is a really good way to hide the scars whenever you're editing video, because you might have some sort of mistake on take 1 that you didn't have in take 2, but the video in take 2 is a little bit better and you want to mismatch the audio and video. And that way you can merge the two. And this is a really good way of kind of hiding the timing differences that you have between your video and your audio. The third one is the opposite of that. It's also known as an L cut. And that is pretty straightforward in that it is the opposite of a J cut. So your audio goes forward in the timeline and your video hangs back. And again, this is just another way of covering up a mistake, but it also gives the situational awareness that one character might be talking to another character. It's also really good to have a conversation get compressed and sound a lot more natural, because 9 times out of 10 when you're talking to somebody, you're interrupting each other all the time. And using J cuts and L cuts is a really easy way to make that feeling seem a lot more natural, because when you're recording your audio on set, you might want to make sure that you have clean audio from each one of your actors. In that sense, you wouldn't have them step on each other's lines, which is when people kind of interrupt each other. But you can use a J cut or an L cut to actually compress that conversationality and make that conversation sound a lot more natural, and thereby sell the suspension of disbelief of your scene. Everything outside of a straight cut, a J cut, or an L cut is actually an effect. So you have overlays, you have text, you have effects. After Effects can go on forever. You're gonna be constantly lost in that. It's kind of a never-ending program that you can use to amp up your various cuts. But again, everything falls on a bed of those 3 cuts, which is a straight cut, a J cut, and an L cut. The cool thing about knowing this is once you get that out of the way, you realize that editing is actually very simple. The reason that I want to say this is because a lot of people get scared about them not having the right skill set or not being a good enough editor. But if you think about editing as just one of 3 different kinds of cuts, either a J cut, an L cut, or a straight cut, then that idea gets out of the way and allows you to be more creative in the ideas that you want to express. And after that, it's just practice. Another thing about that is that it kind of relieves the stress of having to be a good editor, because all editors are using basically the same tactics. It's just about developing a personal muscle memory so that you can be a quicker, more effective editor for your various projects that you're working on. So that's all I got this week. Nice little short and sweet one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Peace.